Well, I'm an idiot, and I know better. And yeah, this is another one of those videos where I confess my stupidity. So, I was doing some paperwork for a firearm. I know I can't say the G word, but with my friend, and maybe a mile away. So I'm like, hey, let's take the Charger. We took the Charger. It was great on the way there. But again, it was like a mile away. It wasn't that far. We pull in, I get out, I see a trail of coolant. I'm like, oh, maybe it's just, I overfilled the radiator, whatever. Nope. Fan hit the radiator again. Not so bad this time, but it's honestly the same result. It's in the core. So, let me get to where I realized where I went wrong. So in the previous segment, you saw me reducing the size of that fan spacer. And the only reason I'm running a fan spacer is to keep my fan blades off of my AC compressor. As you can see, it's close. So my finger fits between the two, the edge of the blade there. So that's the reason for the fan spacer. But what I failed to realize, so let me back up for a second. So fan clutches are a little tricky, and I know it's a pretty simple concept as far as how they work. They work off temperature. They lock up once they reach temperature, and then the fan spins with the water pump at the same exact speed. RPMs go up, RPMs go down, the fan follows those RPMs. What I wasn't aware of is that my water pump shaft got bent in the last incident, which was way worse than this incident. So when I went to put this back on, I was spinning the fan by hand. I measured an inch from the radiator to the edge of the fan blade. I would show you, but the fan shroud's in the way. So what happened was, obviously this is a manual car too, so every gear shift, this engine will rock slightly. It's got urethane mounts on it, so it's not nearly as bad as it would be stock. But basically what happens is I need more than an inch of clearance, clearly. Or I just need to just bite the bullet and go electric fans, which I was so against doing, but it's becoming more and more evident that I should have done that. What a pain in the ass. So, yeah. So I have to have this radiator record again. And the thing is, you know, this is an OEM radiator. It's not OEM or original to the car. It's just an original radiator. So I'm not totally committed to this, but here's the deal. Classic Industries or Summit sells a radiator that looks just like that for $900. Brand new. Made wherever they're made. And they look just like that. But I can have this one record for $700. So I saved myself a couple $100 with the drive to the radiator shop, about 3 or 4 days to get it done. So I don't know. I'm just it's unbelievable. But let's see if I can get this thing to hit. Yeah, it does hit, which probably means the fan is bent again. But yeah, Jesus, frustrating, very, very frustrating, but it is what it is. If I want to drive this car, I got to get it fixed, and that's that. So, well, hopefully, I'm telling you this so you avoid this mistake, like I have done over and over again, despite my experience. It's the simplest thing. Anyway, my rant is over. Let's get this thing pulled apart and yeah, get her fixed. You know, it just dawned on me I'm gonna have unlimited content if I keep making these mistakes. Honestly, it's just an honest mistake. It could happen to anybody, right? Part of it's being unfamiliar with the car itself, never having built a Dodge or Chrysler vehicle. I don't think I've ever installed a mechanical fan either. Or maybe I've used a fan, but not with a clutch. But anyway, the reason for this message is if you have dogs and cats, make sure you don't have any coolant or radiator fluid leaking and puddling underneath your car. Gosh, the animals are attracted to it, and when they start licking it, it's sweet and it's poisonous. Some of them are environmental friendly. I'm sure there's several products out there that don't have poison in them, but it's just good practice. It would be an awful way to lose a loved one, so just make sure you clean up after yourself. That's the PSA for the day. Alright, so here's what I think went wrong. So see how I'm just able to push the fan and it doesn't seem out of round? That's what I was looking at when I put it all back together, because there's no way to test the clutch and the fan until the engine's at temperature, and by that time it's too late. So what I missed was the shaft for the water pump that goes through the pulley, obviously, and then that little 4-bolt housing right there. And I love Chrysler's design on this, by the way. This 4-bolt, instead of having to replace the entire housing like you have to do on Fords and Chevys, you can just replace this part, which is just the impeller, instead of the housing it, having to undo all of that and take these fittings off and do all that. All you gotta do is buy the replacement pump, which is these 4 bolts here, obviously remove the pulley and paint up the new one and slap it on. So it's a pretty easy deal. The hard part is knowing when you've made a mistake and admitting it, and the hardest part is preventing it from happening again when it's not so obvious. I'm learning along with you guys, so hopefully this helps someone out there. That's the aftermath. And even though only one blade was bent, it went around the whole thing and even ground down my tank here. So now comes the decision. Do I replace it with a new one with some electric fans, or go back to the mechanical fan, or stay with the mechanical fan? I'm going to replace the clutch and the fan blade and the water pump at the same time this time. I only replaced the blade and I overlooked the water pump because I'm an idiot, and that's the way it goes. So I'm paying for my mistake, so that's my punishment.